I just parked. My vehicle made 6 at the trailhead. And I just want to take a second to talk about what I've already screwed up. I mentioned previously that I was not really prepared, had to stop and get some groceries. I did that. It didn't take but just a minute to go in and do that. But I get here and I pull my pack out and I realize I don't have my water bottle that I filled up this morning. So it is probably still sitting on the kitchen counter. I didn't put it back in the pack. But I do have another water bottle, so I'm good. But usually I have 2. So just self-inflicted wounds. But that's all right. It just means I'll have to be going to refill with my water bag more frequently. Just dumb stuff I do. But absolutely beautiful day. Look at all that. All the blue skies and the colors. I don't think we're at peak color. Of course, in the deep south like this, peak color comes a little bit later. And it's not peak yet. Anyway, looks like it's shaping up to be a really pretty day. I already mentioned, I left my water on the kitchen counter. I stopped to fill up my empty bottle, and my Sawyer, I could push water through it, but it's just barely coming through. So I back flushed it with the fresh water that I had filtered. So the flow has increased. So I'm gonna be okay, but it makes me wonder where I am with that Sawyer. May end up having to replace it. And then I got off trail and went to the campsite that I had in mind going to, and got there, and there was really nowhere to set up my tent. My tent just has such a big footprint. There was no way that was going to set up. So if I had thought about it, I should have brought that gear top one person. It's really small, really tight. I'm pretty sure I could have set it up. That wouldn't have been a problem. But then coming back to the trail to go and look for an alternative, that was a tough hike. All off trail, and I'm just at a point where could this trip get any worse? I shouldn't say that out loud. It's something of a crossroads. Of course, I know exactly where I'm going, but just in case you didn't know, that's the direction of your car. I have arrived at Sipsey Fork, which is not at all where I thought I was going to be today. I've already passed up on one pretty good campsite. The part of the trail I'm on is 206, which is a heavily trafficked trail. However, I'm on the part of 206 that is on the south side of Sipsey Fork, and it isn't heavily trafficked at all. In fact, in some places it's pretty easy to lose the trail. And I found one campsite that looked pretty promising. Looked like it has not been used in a very long time, and there is a place to set up the tent, so I may end up going back to it. But for right now, I'm content to just walk for a little while and enjoy some of the sights here. Found a campsite. I came back to the one that is pretty old, and there is a place to set up a tent, but I found out the hard way that the water access is pretty bad. It is very slippery. It's just mud. It's not the kind that you bog down in, but it is as slick as glass on top of it. So I think I'm just going to call this a lunch break right here. It's really just lunchtime anyway. I'm gonna call this a lunch break, and I have my chicken salad, and I'm gonna eat a Snickers bar, and I think I'm just gonna push on. To find a good camp spot, I'm probably gonna have to cross Sipsey Fork, and I was trying not to do that and have to get my feet wet today and tomorrow. But that's okay. I think that's what I'm gonna have to do though. So I will go down. It'll be past the rapids. I'll cross over, and I don't know, I'll just kind of make a decision about which direction I go, because there'll be campsites in both directions, so I'll just kind of figure that out. I've already done more miles, probably twice the distance that I had already planned to do, not just for today, but for the whole trip. And in a way, I'm kind of glad Will is not with me, because I promised him that after a football game that we would, it would be a short trip. We would do very few miles, and it hasn't turned out to be that way. He would be furious at me right now. I'm set up at camp, found a great spot. I passed a day hiker, and I guess it was his son that he was with, and he said that I wasn't far from a couple of great spots, and I knew they were coming, but I haven't hiked this stretch in a while, or at least not with the intent of camping on it, and so I couldn't remember how far any of the campsites were. But I found this one. I got set up. It looks like I am set up for, I think, a great evening. It has been very clear, just blue skies. It's going to that'll make for a cool night. I think the low tonight is supposed to be upper 40s, and so that makes for just some great sleeping weather. I've got the Gossamer Gear, the 2, set up, and this might be the best pitch I have ever had with it. It worked out really well. So we'll see how that goes tonight. I think I'm going to sleep with both doors open to reduce the condensation. Plus, it's not going to be super cold. And I have my kitchen and water system set up, so I'm ready for kind of a comfortable evening. Lighting a fire, I'm cheating. So I'm having chili mac with beef tonight. I've been a big fan of chili mac for a long time. And the Mountain House chili mac is pretty good. So I just poured the water in there, gotta wait 5 minutes, and then stir it and wait another 4. Yummy. All right, gave it just a few more minutes. Ready or not, I'm eating it. I'm getting kind of hungry. It's only about 5:30. Yeah, that's good. It's ready to go. Good morning. We had time change last night, so I'm a little off. I started waking up at my regular time and looking at my watch and thinking, yeah, I got an extra hour on top of that, so that was nice. I ended up getting up a little after 6 on the new time, so that would mean that in the old time, I slept in till 7, which is pretty unusual for me. So I'm gonna be trying out something new for breakfast. Having breakfast skillet. I've never had that before. My favorite breakfast with Mountain House. Check that. My only breakfast with Mountain House has been the biscuits and gravy, and it is so good. And I've heard kind of mixed reviews on the breakfast skillet. I've heard some people say it's really good, and I've heard some people say it's kind of trash, but I'm gonna give it a shot. It was the only one they had at Walmart yesterday, so I'm gonna try it, and I'll report back to you and let you know my opinion for whatever that's worth. The low this morning was supposed to be in the upper 40s, maybe 50. It just feels cooler. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I just woke up cold. But Cafe Bustelo this morning, and this is about 2/3 full, and I put 2 of the packets in there. So Cafe Bustelo is pretty good. And it's probably the cheapest one. But anyway, a little hot coffee this morning, and I'm still waiting for my breakfast skillet to get ready. My preliminary taste testing, though, is that it's pretty good, but the eggs are not rehydrating in the center at all. So I got to add a little bit more water, and we'll see how that goes. All right. I added a little bit of extra water to the breakfast skillet. I let it sit and try to rehydrate a little bit more. It's just a little bit soupy, not bad. I'll still be able to eat all of it. I want to give this a shot. Let's see. All right. After the eggs are the last thing to rehydrate. And after they've rehydrated, that's much better. Which now makes me feel better about the bacon and eggs number 10 can that I got to go with grits. It's pretty good. The flavor seems heavier on the onion than anything else, which is fine for what this is supposed to be, like a breakfast kind of stir fry, skillet fry thing. Biscuits and gravy is far superior to this. I would definitely do this again, but only as a break between the biscuits and gravy and the grits with bacon and eggs, which I really like. That's a total Southern thing. And you might have noticed by my accent that I'm from the South. On Southern accents, though, I will say that my accent is smoother than the cream cheese on your bagel. I have never had a favorite coffee up to now. I've used Starbucks Via and Taster's Choice, and I've been okay with both of them. I'm not really a coffee snob, but I will say that the Cafe Bustelo is pretty good. I now have a favorite, so from now on, I think when I go to get instant coffee for the trail, it's going to be Cafe Bustelo. This has been a fantastic campsite. You can see where my tent was. If you are a Sipsey hiker, camper, going from B Branch toward where 209 kind of becomes 206, and I think, and the distance is about, you're about 1/3 of the distance between this campsite and B Branch, and 2/3 between here and that crossing. Big flat area, plenty of room for multiple tents. Big fire ring. It had places to to sit, kind of built in. You could sit on the ground and lean back on that, or do like I did and bring a chair. But just a great place. And of course, I've said this before about the Sipsey. This place is less about coming in here and hiking big miles. It's more about the camp experience. And so really had a good time. Missed that Will didn't get to be here, but I'm gonna go home and check on him this afternoon and kind of see what his situation looks like. I think he's gonna be all right, just kind of sore and beat up. All right, about to hike it on out of here. I'm back up here at the intersection with the sign that lets you know where your car is. And I'm pretty early in the morning, and I'd planned to hit town for lunch. So I've got a little bit of time to kill. So I think what I'm gonna do is take a little detour to Rippey Cabin. And if it sounds like I'm out of breath, it's because I am, because the climb up was all uphill. This cabin, I believe, is an old logger's cabin. It sits on a little square of private land here in the National Forest and even in the middle of the wilderness area. Otherwise, it wouldn't be allowed to stand. But I've been hiking here long enough that I remember when all of this was clear. There were no trees here. This is just... actually, I haven't been here in a pretty long time. Also, with the windmill, I remember when the windmill was still standing and would still turn in the wind. And down there at the rapids, you could hear it. If it was turning, it just creaked and groaned. Made for a pretty spooky experience if you didn't know what it was. Ooh. That has gotten soft. Somebody's left some sleeping pads. What's supposed to pass as sleeping pads. Says do not remove from cabin. So I guess they intended for that map to stay in here. Looks like somebody's come in and done some cleaning up though. And I'm willing to bet you somebody just straight up stole the register that was in here. There was a notebook. I see that it's gone. This back room is pretty dangerous. It's been repaired and kind of jacked up a couple of times. Here's some grits if you want them. This cabinet back here used to have all kinds of stuff, including steak sauce and ketchup. It must have been in pretty bad shape though. You can see there used to be power, light switch. There used to be plumbing. Of course, the well, that's what pumped the water. I see a window has broken. Interesting. It has started falling into a little bit more disrepair. Clearly there's a roof leak. This bathroom you need to brush your teeth. I think that's about the end of the tour. Oh, I will show you where there's an old outhouse down here. Sorry to say, I think that might have been where the outhouse was, but that's not it. It's over here. It's, as you might imagine, not in great shape. Yeah, it's in pretty bad shape. I mentioned at the beginning of this trip that this was supposed to be a shakedown hike, and primarily for my son with his new gear, but he couldn't make it, and so I came on anyway, which might sound selfish, and it probably is, but this was sort of a shakedown hike for me too, except not in the sense that most people think of a shakedown hike. Instead, this was more of a, can I still do this? That may sound strange because it's just walking and still hiking. At the end of August, I had an accident at home. I fell and landed on my back on the stairs and tumbled down about halfway down the stairs, and it was enormously painful. And I'll make that, it's a long story, but I'll make it short. I ended up breaking transverse process. It's one of the bony protrusions off the back of each one of the vertebrae, and I broke one, and there's no surgery to fix it. It'll just be broken for the rest of my life. But the doctor assured me that your body sort of just repairs around it, and that you go through probably about 6 weeks of pain, and then you just sort of get over it. Well, in the past week or so, I have kind of just gotten over it. So I wanted to see if my back would take a trip like this, and kind of the discomforts of walking on trail and camping and sleeping on the ground and all that. And I'm happy to report that my back is fine. There are no problems. And so the plans that I have for the upcoming trips are still on. So that's good news. I am in the last hour or so on the way to the trailhead, and so I will just sign off from here and say thank you for watching. Thank you for sticking around, and if you were so inclined, hit the like button, and if you're not already a subscriber, go ahead and hit subscribe.